Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Interviews with Disciples and Devotees. I'm truly honored today to have Dolores come and tell us about her life and her love of Sri Aurobindo and Mother. Namaste, Dolores.
Namaste, Narad.
Where do we begin? Perhaps let's begin with how you first heard of Sri Aurobindo and Mother. That's where I like to begin all my interviews. It brings us in closer contact with the Divine Presence, and I know how devoted you are. My friend calls you a flaming aspiration. So please share with us the story of how you came to know about Mother and Sri Aurobindo.
Thank you so much for having me here. May I ask you to pinch me? Because I don't know if I'm dreaming or this is for real. Because 4 years ago, I saw you first interview, and it's really almost unbelievable to see myself sitting in this chair. It's a true honor. Thank you so much. I was born in Moscow in 1970. It's a beautiful country, mystical, but the religion was persecuted in that time. You cannot openly go to the churches or devote yourself openly. However, where I was living, really close, was a really nice church, almost cathedral, but in Orthodox, there's no cathedrals. The churches. Yes, an Orthodox church,
Yes.
Церковь in Russian, was really close to a place that I was born and live and raised. So sometimes I will sneak just to see that environment, how the popes, right, they will chant, and icons, and all this environment just kind of surrounds you with such a mystical, unbelievable atmosphere. So I think that presence was always there somewhere really, really deep in me, but I did not have chance to explore that because my mother and father are from Spain. They were children of the civil war in Spain in 1937. So by the time when they come to Russia, Soviet Union, those for them also really confusing. They came from Catholic background, encounter a thick country and didn't have chance to develop all this.
Did they ever attend anything in the church?
No. No word of God was spoken in my house. We never made references, we never prayed, we never did devotion to anything. It was just how to live your life the best that you can. My mother shared a lot of love with me, and I was nurtured by her support and love. But I always felt something was off, something was missing. There was some kind of emptiness.
Was it sort of why you came to listen to the music of the Orthodox Church?
Exactly.
I mean, it happened for me also.
Exactly. That was a feeling sense. When you
Yes.
enter in a sacred space, they can
Yes.
feel you, and then you're happy. Then you restore that flame, as you mentioned, and then you come in home, and you're trying to maintain that. So when I was 13, I started having series of experiences. I will go to sleep early because that's where I had the contact with beautiful, beautiful dreams. I will fly in the amazing places, and I'll remember every single dream. And then I woke up, I was like, why I'm here? I want to be there. Another thing I always used to do is to think about the infinity. As a little girl, I will imagine my room, and then I'll expand it to the city, and then to the earth, and then as far as I can go. And then I get a little bit scared because suddenly there was nothing. It's almost like you dissolve in something, and I don't want to be dissolved, so I was coming back, saying, no, I'm back, I'm back. So I remember those experiences, but nothing of it. Nobody nurtured that, nobody will explain what it is, and I was just in my world.
Did you ever go out of your body?
I did when I was 18. I remember two circumstances. Was due to really stressful emotional state, and I saw myself completely out of myself, and I was seeing myself, and I made a reference to the state that I saw myself twice. But again, nobody nurtured that, nobody explained what it is,
and you couldn't talk about it.
I
in
cannot
your family.
talk about that, no. And it felt really awkward because it was not me, but was me. It was really interesting, that two situations.
Were you reading anything then? Any books? Were you an avid reader?
I was avid reader and a Russian classical literature. I love Pushkin, Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin, Lermontov. I will memorize their poetry. I absolutely love that. And yeah, all related to Tolstoy. I read all books for that. So all classical Russian, and I love to go to the theater. For me, that was another nurturing part. And it was so affordable. It's only 3 rubles, and you just go, you take a metro, 5 kopecks, and you just get, and you're in a Bolshoi theater. And here you have the biggest, amazing creations of art and ballet, and opera, and then, of course, contemporary as well. Really close where I was living, there was a theater, and I will go there really often. And I get so emotional, then I get almost like a stomachache because it was just all really nourishing. But there's another really important experience I want to share with you as a musician. The first time I heard organ music was Bach.
Oh.
And I was at home, and I had a record player, and one of the friends brought that disc, vinyl, the big ones.
Long playing record.
Yes.
Or was it the Bakelite record?
Yeah, that's right. When you put like this and it just goes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And suddenly I heard that music, and I think I was in trance for the first time because I sat really quietly, and I was just, again, the same feeling of fulfillment, that your soul is nourished. And at that point I didn't know anything about the soul, but I felt that really, really in deep. So again, I was 22 when we had to leave Russia. And I said had to because it was really traumatic. I love Moscow. Absolutely love Moscow. I will walk streets and streets and take different directions just to discover really important historical points for the history of Russia. But there was a really difficult time. It was political situation when Gorbachev had to be thrown, and Yeltsin came in 1992. I was 22 years old.
Oh, yes.
So seeing tanks on the streets was really overwhelming. So we decided that it's time to go to my mom and dad's country birth, so which was Spain. My mom was born in Santander. My father was born in Santander, really close. Then for me to realize, when my mom shared with me that my biological father actually was not the man who raised me, although I've never, ever could imagine that happened. So then she shared with me that my biological father is from Cuba. So actually I'm half Cuban, half Spanish. That's fine, just to, add to the rhythm of the life, I guess.
And of course you spoke the language at home, Spanish, huh?
It's really interesting about the languages, and
Yes.
I guess can tap into our brain and mind capacities. When I was born in a Spanish-speaking family, they only speak with me in Spanish. Mm-hmm. So until the age of maybe 2, my mom kept me in home, and I was home all this time. I only knew Spanish. So, and then the time came that I had to go and socialize with the kids. So they put me in daycare with the Russian kids. And that was the first shock of me not understanding anything. So I stopped talking. I will not speak a word. I was just taking everything in, trying to learn what is that new music? What is new melody? What's happening around? How those kids understand what that teacher tells them, because I cannot understand until it'll click. And when I start speaking again, I think I was 3 or 4 years old, I will speak perfect Russian with no accent at all. And I close my Spanish. I will not speak any word in Spanish.
Oh.
So my mom will speak me in Spanish and will answer her in Russian. And that was until I was 16 years old. I started traveling all over the world when I was 3. We used to take a train from Moscow to Paris. And it's 2 days train. It was magical because the rhythm of the wheels, and you just stare outside and
Now
you see.
you know that they were singing Om.
Yes, Om everywhere, and you can see all different countries until you come to Germany, and you see that big wall separating them, and you pass from east to west, and you can see that separation. And something was not feeling right. I was little, but you already can sense that something was not right. In Paris, we will stay whole day and visit places because we had to take a different train to go to Spain. You see, French people will not allow you to go directly from France. They will collect, as much as they can, which is perfect for us. A little bit inconvenient, and then we'll get there. So since I was 3 years old, we will always travel together. But when I was 16, my mom and dad couldn't come. But my older sister and I, we decided just to go by ourselves. When I realized if I don't have my mom and dad to translate, I don't know how to speak because nobody speaks Russian. So Spanish kicked out right away. And in that trip, I started speaking Spanish, just like this, out of the blue. And when I was back, I was reinforcing that language because I wanted to deepen it up and understood how important the languages are. Yeah. Because if you cannot speak, nobody can understand, you cannot ask. So that's how first came to a realization. So wherever you start, wherever language you start with, it's deep in there. And you just have to have that potential to open it up and to start speaking. So we left Moscow. It was really traumatic. I was 22 years old.
So Gorbachev was just dismissed?
He was.
But the wall came down.
Yes. 1988 was a big transformation. We were so happy I was 18 years old, and there was this sense of liberation, the sense of something new, something approaching. The stagnant closed door were open. Suddenly we're learning all about different cultures. Well, for me, it was not that much of a big of a deal because I was traveling every year. I was exposed to outsiders, but my friends, no. So it was really nice. It was really liberating. But unfortunately then, the change came.
Yeltsin came.
Yeltsin came, yes. It was a really devastating time. It was a time when there was an organization, small mafias, suddenly. People start craving for things. Like before, you just see people peacefully in the train reading books. Right now, they're searching for more money and get that something that they maybe always wanted and were repressed. So I think that was a good time, but it was a really, really tough time. So my mom said, I cannot see more tanks. I saw enough in my life. This kind of distress, she went through civil war in Spain, Second World War, when they have to flee for their life. So she said, you know what, we have to go back to Spain. For them, it was going back. For me, it was starting a new life. So, and that's in 2022, I came to Spain, and I already started in that point.
20?
I was 22. It was 1992.
Okay.
I was 22 years old. And when I was 13, you see, Narad, I had this feeling of, I don't have that much time. I don't have that much time. I have to figure out why I'm here. I was 13 years old, and I went in really deep depression. Not to treat, not to expose, but internal. Like I was unsatisfied. I was asking questions. What should I do in this life? What I should be?
Yeah.
And I was asking my mom, what should I be? And she said, well, if you're a nurse, you're always going to find job. Mm-hmm. That was her answer because she passed through really difficult times in life when she did not have enough. So she was kind of protecting me, saying, well, if you want to have sustainable life, you should choose a profession that you can always have, job. My sister, half-sister, and I learned, she is a physician herself, and she asked me, she said, maybe you can just, be a doctor. I said, no, doctor's too much responsibility. I can just follow the advice of my mom, as always. So I started the medical profession, which really called for me as a nurse. Yes, I was a nurse for a really long time, maybe 9 years we're talking about, serving the patients. Serving the patients, doing everything they needed.
Yeah.
Always next to the side of the bed and doing anything. I remember when I came first to Spain and find a job in residency of elderly people. And in Moscow, people, usually they die really young because they drink vodka or there's accidents, young. But in Spain, people live for a really long time. So when I went to work in the residency, I saw people living 106 years old. I was like, really? People live that long? So that was a shocker.
Yeah.
And then as a nurse, I was really good, but I always were after the doctors saying, well, you should do this, and you should do this. You should see that from this perspective. And more than once, they would say, you should continue studying. I don't think you're in your place. You should continue. If you go after us like this, you should continue studying. But I never had courage, because I always said that it's fine. This is comfortable. This is enough. And then as I came to Spain, I went into really deep depression. Was internal, never needed any medications, but I call that dark time of my soul, when I lost absolutely every contact with that feeling that I had in Spain and Moscow. So in that point, I asked myself, is that it?
For life.
For life.
Yeah.
This is my life?
Yeah.
Comfortable? Work for life? In that point, I already had a completely fixed job, so I will never lose it. It's just for life.
Yeah.
And money, yes, there was money, but that's it? I was searching like I was a fish out of the water, and I was feeling I'm drying out. And I was in really, really deep
depression.
Deep depression. I will wear black clothes. I will not exchange conversations with people. I will just come and I will talk to patients, and I love patients, and I will talk to them and do everything I had to do, and then again close.
You were in your mid-20s at this point.
I was from 22 to 27. That was 5 years of a deep search without finding anything. And suddenly one of my coworkers, she came and she said, I find this lady, she has answer for everything that you need to know in life. And when she said life, it's almost like brought me back to life. I said, can you tell me more about this lady? And she said, yes, her name is Enedina, and she does this course when you discover your soul. It's like, what's soul? Oh yeah, and God. What's God? That was me when I was 27 years old. And I said, can you just give me her phone number so I can connect? On March of 1997, I did the first course. That was a whole weekend in a convent in Palma de Mallorca. When you come on Friday and you stay there until Sunday. That was the first level. There was 3 levels of ascent. And that's the first time I heard the word God, and it's real, and you can have contact with God, and actually God is within you, and actually we have soul, and that's immortal. And then there was a picture of the mother.
Oh, she knew mother.
She knew mother. She came to Pondi, and she was an ashram, and she is a devotee and a disciple, because they're following their teachings. And that was one of the core main channels that came directly to me. And then she told me after the third, so it was March, April, and May. Narad, in May, I was completely different person, because she told me, you not live to your potential. you choose really mediocre life, you have to go further. So what do you want to do in life? I said, I'm asking this question since I was born. It was like, ask yourself sincerely, what do you want to do in life? And I said, serve and help others. Yes, and you have a big red cross behind your back. So your place is in medicine, but you're not tapping in your potential. So you have to continue your studying, and you have to become a doctor. I said, but I'm in Spain. I cannot go back to Russia because all my studies was in Russian until I was 22 years old. Oh, no, you have to apply here. It's like, how? I have to go and do everything like from this year. It's like, just ask, see what's happening. I was a really good student. And when I was a nurse, I finished with the red diploma, which allows you to enter in any med school in Moscow just to passing one exam. So I started asking, what's the system in Spain? And apparently, if you have this type of diploma with excellent achievements, you don't even have to pass any exams. You just apply. And you're going to be in that pool of 5% that they allowed from nurses to become doctors.
Whoa.
But for that, Narad, I had to jump with the faith of saying, I truly believe that the mother wanted me to continue this path. So I resigned my stable job. And I thought I had to study in Madrid because Madrid reminded me Moscow. I really like big cities. So I took all my belongings and I came to Madrid to find out that my car was robbed overnight and all my suitcases were stolen. So that's how you kind of get all the past really fast off of your life. And then I started applying for all the universities all over Spain. To find out that Madrid was not the city, you have to live there for a year before studying. Remember that course that I did was March, April, and May. The application started in June 1997.
Oh.
And if I lose the year, I had to find all over again the job and everything else. So I knew the time was ticking and I have to do it really fast. So I did 27 applications for all the universities in Spain, and I started applying until again, I went to the retreat, the summer retreat with Enadina, when the true sign came to me from the mother saying, do not apply everywhere. Just go to one place that I have saved for you, which is Santiago of Compostela. Santiago of Compostela is a pilgrimage place when the devotees go and touch base with the essence, with your faith. So I did that. I stopped all the applications. I did not apply anywhere. Just one university, Santiago of Compostela, which that year celebrated 500 years.
Oh.
I was really close to the cathedrals, and if you pull out the pictures of that place, oh, it's magic. It's amazing. So I took my car and I said, you know what? It's only one university, so let me just drive there. So from Madrid to Santiago de Compostela was 6 hours driving. I said, that's nothing. I came to that city, and you really have to Google that. It's unbelievable. It still have those pavements from centuries, 1500s. So one of the disciples of Christ, which is St. James, Santiago, he came there to deliver the word of Christ. And that's how it started, a big cathedral in his name. And of course, really strong Catholic imprint in there. But there's a 3 routes to go there. From France, passing Leon, from Sevilla, and they have different names.
Oh.
The path of silver, the path of north, the path of gold from Sevilla. So basically, from medieval times, people will go searching for forgiveness. And they will go through this path until they will come to this sanctuary. And they will just devote themselves completely to God, leaving all the past there. And I always will see those pilgrimages. So when I came for the first time to that city, it struck me. It was amazing. I felt like home. I said, I understand why you want me to be here. It's all based on faith. And because I already saying I'm not going to apply anywhere and I have such a short period of time, let me just be here. So I went to the university. I put my applications. They took it in and say, well, we'll get you the response in September. So that was June. June, July, August, until September, I had 4 months. So I found a job, and again, in a residency, and I was working as a aide of the nurse. Because they couldn't accommodate me as a nurse. I said, I will take any job. I don't mind. So I was helping the nurses. So you can see how you have to go through humility to find your place and your path. In September, I was admitted to that university. And I couldn't believe myself. And I had to pinch myself the same way. I was 27 years old. And then Adina gave me a picture, exactly the picture you have here, this picture. And she said, put it in front of you when you're going to study. I know it's going to be really difficult because you study always in Russian. Now you have to study in Spanish. So we'll see how you're going to do it. So I put the picture of the mother in front of me like this on the level of my brain. I said, I don't know how to do it. Please do it for me. So she infused everything that I need to know, but she veiled herself. I did not know her. I only know her as a really nice lady that my guru was devoted to. Yeah. Because I was devoted to my guru, I didn't have to be devoted to her. Yeah. It was enough. But she was always there present. And it was not until I was 49 years old when she unveiled herself. And suddenly I knew her as mother. And since then, that was in the airport. I was flying from Barcelona. That was another course that I did with Carlos and Adina. And that was to continue deepening and find your inner, almost soul, the psychic being. Again, that was a whole weekend. I was flying from Barcelona to Pittsburgh. I was living in Pittsburgh in that time. I opened the ashram page and I saw Sri Aurobindo's PDF, Life Divine. And I opened and I started reading it in the airport. And suddenly the words was reading to me. There was a voice. And I had
reading the words to you.
Yes, my eyes were on the words, but the voice was next to me. And I had to stop and look around because I said, who is reading over my shoulder? It's a really nice, beautiful gentleman voice with some English accent. I said, well, it's international airport. Maybe there's some British here. And suddenly I had to stop because I felt exactly the same experiences that were through all my life guiding me. But this time was calling me really for real. This time was so precise, so real, so intense.
Did you feel it was Sri Aurobindo or not reading to you?
Yes. That was him talking to me, unveiling me completely, calling my name, saying, now start. This is your start. I know you were devoting and doing all the faith stuff and following my signs, and I can tell you more and more about it. We don't have to. Right now, let's talk about them because they start talking to me directly, saying, now it's your time to get in the path of integral yoga.
How long had you been a doctor?
I finished my med school in 2003, and then I came to US. Again, they asked me to go there. I said, fine. I had to learn English. I go, okay, I learned two languages, why not the third one? And then I did the residency in 2006. And I first did 2 years of internal medicine to learn all about the body. And then I always had an amazing call for neurology, for the science of the mind and central and peripheral nervous system. And then the first class of anatomy, when they show us the picture of the brain, I said, I want to be there. And I jumped there directly. So after 2 years of internal medicine, I had a privilege to be in Thomas Jefferson University Hospital Neuroscience Center. So I did 4 years in total, 3 years of residency and 1 year of fellowship and headache.
When you were living in the U.S.
I was living in Philadelphia at that time.
In
yes.
Philadelphia.
I lived in Philadelphia for 8 years.
Which I liked at one time.
It's a city of brotherly love.
Yes.
It's the first capital of the United States.
Yes.
And when I was doing my internal medicine, I was doing that in the First Nation hospital, which was a Pennsylvania hospital, which still have the amphitheater of the first surgery that was made in the history of the surgeries with the anesthesia and all that stuff. Wow. It's beautiful, historic place. You definitely, if you're there, visit, it's beautiful. So yes, I finished my residency. I had a call for pain, as my name says, Dolores, a lot of pain. So I said, I think I have to treat a lot of patients with pain. So I did choose headache, and I did headache fellowship in headache medicine. And had to pass the boards for neurology and then for headache. And then there was a time that I had to choose to get back to Spain or continue. And at that point, I already had family and kids, and I said, I think I have to continue in U.S. So we went to underserved area, West Virginia, and I served there for 5 years.
Oh my God, West Virginia.
West Virginia. This is on the middle of nowhere.
In the mountains?
In the mountains.
Yeah.
With no connection with a cell phone.
Right.
You don't go shopping. So after the hub of Philadelphia and New York in 1 hour, you just go to the middle of nowhere, right?
Yes.
But it's beautiful. The people were unbelievable, so humble, such a respect. And I was just graduate. So, and they put me in a small little hospital, 144 beds, and they said, you're a neurologist. And they start sending me all the patients all over, patients actually coming from Charleston to see me, because I was just the only neurologist in the area. And suddenly I had to treat everything, from seizures, MS, and of course headaches, a lot of patients with headaches.
Yes.
And you can see how that underserved area was carrying the burden of all these necessities. The patients will come with so many diseases, and they just don't have an understanding, because doctors will rush really fast, will give them a pill and out. I will spend time with them just for them to understand what's happening in their body, why they're sick. So I will spend a lot of time with them, and I absolutely love that.
When I was, just before I left, the doctors had schedules 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And get him out in 15, next one 15.
Yes. As a subspecialty, I have 20 minutes for follow-up and 40 minutes for new.
Whoa.
Yeah. And your neurological examination is really detailed, really detailed. There's no way you can do it properly. And this is when I start developing the sense of intuition with the patients, because I had to have my resources. It was not me there, it was Mother, because by that time, it was all her grace.
And what year was this?
That was 2012.
2012.
I started in 2012. And of course, she was always with me. She was veiled, but her picture was always there. And the presence was there. Maybe not completely consciously, but I knew that I was not me as an instrument. So I will put her there, and I said, well, Mother, this patient's coming, and I have so little, and I have so much to say, but I don't have time. So how best to approach that? And so I started developing a really focused exam, focused questions, and I helped quite a bit. So, she did. That's not my merit at all. It's all she did. But in that time, I did not open her books. I did not open his books. I did not have knowledge of them on that level. It was a completely different level. But was that year, 2019, when I was 49 years old, in the airport, when the voice came, and with that life divine, I started opening more and more and more. And then there was one particular person who helped me so much in opening this consciousness to them. And I'm grateful deeply to him, and it's Shradal Ranade. I saw his classes, and when he was talking about consciousness, for me, he was talking Hebrew. I could not understand anything he was talking about. But then it was easier each time I was listening. And then he was recommending books. So that's how I came to know about Savitri, Life Divine, Synthesis of Yoga. And this is a really big names. And you open the book and you want to fall asleep. But then when you push a little bit more, and you know how I always have this passion about our mind, how much we can stretch it, where we can go, where's the limit? And I said, let me see. And you can feel almost the exercise what your mind and your brain, specifically the brain cells, are doing every time you're reading Sri Aurobindo, the mother, specifically Sri Aurobindo. But she's making so references about him, so it's the same consciousness, the same energy. But when you read them, you can feel how they push and stretch, and suddenly you want to reread it again, and suddenly you're not sleepy that much, and suddenly you lighten up. And that's how they make in our mind plastic. And that's how they infuse intuitive thinking, intuitive mind. And then you grow further and further. And then, of course, a privilege to know how the distance of peace as a base of it, and the meditation, how important it is. And of course, Mother talks about active or dynamic meditation, and we all can do that. But I think it's really important to quiet our mind. You know, right now we had an amazing summit in Avril, and there was such a pristine speakers, and everybody was talking about exactly that. Spirituality and neuroscience was also touched upon. I did not have chance to come there on time, so I did not have chance to present. But part of my presentation was exactly that, making reference about 3 important points, right? And one of them, it is how important just to see the changes in our brain activity and the wave activity, how you're slowing down your mind. For example, if I ask you right now to close your eyes, your brain wave will slow down and go from beta wave activity, which is approximately from 30 to 13 hertz, depending on which mental activity or capacity you're doing, will go down to alpha brain activity, and that's 12 to 8 hertz, just by closing your eyes. And imagine once you close your eyes and you would introspect and quiet it deeper and deeper, your brain activity slows further and further. And you could go down to delta wave activity, which is 4 hertz. You can imagine that preparatory state, that plasticity and openness and receptivity you can have and achieve. So all this meditation, if you set it up and do it daily, you can practice this organ, brain, that tells you and kind of leads you to the thought, which I think it's its function, but I'm sure it's go even deeper than that, because there's always this question, what about brain? What about thought? What is all this? But it's the mind, right? It's the mind. It's that action of the mind and the thought. And that's why it's so important what we're thinking, how we're thinking. And I was, this particular portion of my presentation was about a power of positive thinking. And I was introspecting there a little bit more too. So in the end, my presentation there was 3 important points I wanted to discuss in my presentation. And it was the power of suggestion, the power of positive thinking, and then the direct action of the Supreme upon the human mind. So I had 20 minutes and I diligently studied for that. But it was so beautiful to see how throughout this month that I was invited to present, my presentation was changing, was alive, but they were infusing more thoughts, and I was changing that. And again, studying and Shradalo's Life Divine classes also helped amazingly. He has right now Evening with Shradalo, which is every Saturday, and you can learn so much because he's talking about all this and more in such a detail. So I'm studying. It's just a path that discovered, and the invitation to come here was such an amazing presence, and be here with you is just such an honor and privilege. So thank you so much.
Can we talk a little bit about your experiences at the retreat in South Carolina? Because I know that was almost monumental for many of us.
When I discovered Shradalo on YouTube, the next person I discovered was you, with all the interviews of the sadhaks, devotees. One really impactful was with Vasanti. And I learned so much from every single sadhak about the ashram, about the life, and I will watch it again and search for new interview. I learned about Auroville, and all the experience was part of me now. So it was, for me, like I was living it. And then I said, I wish I can see those person and these people in person. And I asked Mother, I don't know if it's possible, how that can be. So
but
suddenly,
you were living then where?
in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh.
Yes, I was
That's
already
an
in Pittsburgh.
interesting place.
Yes, really beautiful. A city of 446 bridges.
Yeah.
That's how much bridges. There's a confluence of 3 rivers, 2 giving life of Ohio River, Magangaheli, Allegheny, and Ohio River.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful city. I asked her, is it possible to meet them in person somehow? And suddenly the information came from La Grace Center saying, we're going to have a retreat. That was 2020. And I was so excited. And then they said, we have to close because of COVID. It's not going to be happening in person, but it's going to be Zoom. It's going to be on Zoom. I said, does not matter. It's perfectly fine. So I saw all your programs. We tried but we couldn't do that. And then the following year was 2021. Was it 2021 was canceled, I believe.
Yeah, 2022 it was, I think.
Exactly. The 2022, yes. And 2022, they said, they're all coming, but we're not sure about Narad. I said, he has to come. I have to meet him. I have to come. He cannot not come. And I sent you an email. I said, please come. And you did. And I said, oh, this is such a privilege because Om Choir was in the program. Shradala was there. Dr. Alok Pandey was there. And I was watching his videos as well. Everybody was there. And for me, when I came there, I saw you bringing ashram in there. The atmosphere. It was sacred. And for the first time, they did it in a beautiful hotel, Marriott hotel. It was a beautiful, beautiful, big auditorium. And the pictures of the mother giving a card and a darshan, and Sri Aurobindo, their presence was there. And they made it for you easy if you want to worship, if you want to bow down and do pranam.
Yes.
And that's it. And you just go there. I just want to be in silence all the time. I didn't want to eat. I ate maybe a little bit. I skipped my breakfast and just, since early in the morning, I was there, feeling them. And the Pondicherry was there. Ashram was there. And seeing all you in person, for me was a true present, a true gift. It's such a privilege. And meet Shradalo in person because I was just, I was like, oh my goodness, you're real. But we met actually earlier than that. We met in Barcelona because he came to one of the Auroville sponsored centers in Barcelona. Marianela, she's a really good friend of mine, which we go really long back to Santiago de Compostela time. And so she told me that, Shardalo is coming, and that was coinciding with my visiting my mom. She's living in Palma de Mallorca, so I made a little bit of deviation from my tour. Instead of going to the islands, I came to Barcelona, and I met him in person before. Already really impactful. And then I said to him, I'm coming to retreat. I'm going to meet you in a few months. So, and I was just praying that you were going to be there, and you were there. And yes, it was really impactful. And when you come to home after being in places like this, you need some time because you touched so deeply, and then you go to the routine again with the ordinary life, and you cannot see your ordinary life like ordinarily anymore.
It's a big difference, isn't it?
Huge.
From I can remember that retreat and the vibrations that were so powerful, and the Om choir is so beautiful, and then you come back into the real world, which is not at all the real world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess just to cultivate that poise, and every time we submerge on this turmoil, remember that, put them in, and I always step in back. Like when I feel my thoughts are getting too saturated, and you can feel that. It's almost like a dirty feeling.
Yes.
And kind of tiring too, so you just kind of retreat yourself and pause, and it comes directly, comes right away. This retreat was really special.
Is the psychic being in front for you now? I know that's a difficult question.
When I started this path, the first question I asked Shraddhalu he was doing the synthesis of yoga, and on Fridays morning, and I will make my time. For me, it was a morning, early morning. For you, it was afternoon, evening, and I will find my time just right before starting the walk to text, because there was a live chat, and I text really fast. What's the soul? What's the difference between the soul and the psychic being? And he made a reference to read a certain book, and then I realized, when you ask this question, you have no idea. When you ask this question, you have no idea. So, and then I started reading more and more, and I realized, when you feel the psyche, it's that happiness that fills you.
Yes.
It's the joy. No matter what you see, it's not you anymore. And then the smile that comes. And when the smile comes, it transforms everything. And it's not you smile at all. Because if I'm going to smile, it's just you smile. But when they start smiling through you, and I think this is the part of us, that when it comes like this, and you feel it, it's just a joy to live. Remember how she said to Champa Klal, be simple,
be happy,
and smile.
Yeah.
Smile always, Champa Klal.
Yes.
Always. And I think that's what she was making a reference to, the psychic being, because when you feel that presence, you automatically smile, because no matter who you meet, you see them and them, so you smile to them, and they smile you back instantly, no matter who they are.
Yes.
And I think that's how I can express that psychic
very
presence.
good.
It's not us at all, it's just them coming out.
What will you do from now on in your life?
This trip was really short, but really intense, to realize that I was not taking really good care of my family. You see, when I go to extremes sometimes, I go to when it has to be like my life is always like this, really fast and really extreme. So when I had that call, I went in 100%. Mother Shri Aurobindo, Mother Shri Aurobindo. I want to leave everything. I actually talked to my husband. I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to go to India. I'm sorry. This is what I meant to do. I know I have 3 kids, and I know I have you.
You have 2 children?
I have 3 kids.
3 children.
13, 10, and 8-year-old. And we're talking about 4 years earlier. So they were even...
One was only 4 at that time.
Exactly. And I was telling my husband, I said, you know what, I think I belong to them. And because I want to surf, I'm going to go to India. I'm going to be in Pondicherry. I'm going to go in the ashram, and I'm just going to be that. He stood back, and he saw that passion in my eyes, and he saw that devotion that I had. And he said, you know, this is your life. You do wherever you think is right for you.
He's very wise.
And in that point, I was standing on my altar. I have a special place in my house. It's all Mother and Sri Aurobindo. I have all the books and all the images. And as soon as he said that, and we were standing in that room, as soon as because you see, I found a card that he gave me when we started dating. And he said, in that card, I'm paraphrasing, but it says how much he loves me and I'm such a special person, special being, something like this, he said. And I said, you already see that I'm really special, so I have to go. He said, you know what, I respect wherever you want to do. I'm letting you go. And when he said that, the cold shower just came from up, down, and I stood like this, and I heard, that's not it. Because I give you this family. I give you those kids. Were you able to take care of them? Would you be able to be on the level of everything I gave you? And I said, you know what? I told him, you know what? Let me just think about all of this. Let me just process that. And I went in really deep meditation in that point. But it's not until this trip, because I was still kind of I was really divided. And he respected me the whole time. Like when I went to the retreat, he said, yes, please go. He will give me, right now, he said, please go, take your time. And when I came here, I heard it again. Would you able to take really good care of everything I gave you?
Of?
Everything I gave you. All the family, all you,
yes.
Because your children are my children. Give them everything that you can. And right now, I'm not going to preach Mother and Sri Aurobindo, no. But the vibration I have and everything that I received here is going to be emanating from this point. And I think this is where I should be. Everything that she allowed me to start, the family and the children and the work and my husband, but always keeping that poise, always radiating their presence, not out loud, but silently,
yes,
just by that presence.
Very concentrated.
Really concentrated.
Yes. Will you come to India for any longer periods? Once your family has grown, perhaps?
Yesterday, we visited Golkon. You see, because I only have 8 days, we have to visit really important places. That was a nap time. And we asked just to sit in front of the painting. And Aishwarya, she's a beautiful girl, and she knows every single flower and meaning. And we were sitting in front of this beautiful painting of the mother, blessing the world as they come into her, and the devotees that already left. And there was a beautiful gardens. And she was going and telling me all about the flowers, and I was enjoying the presence. And we were sitting on the stones, and I was touching and feeling the presence of the mother. And suddenly one of the ashramites came. I did not know there was ashramites. Just really nice man came, and I did namaste, and I smiled, and he came to me, and he started talking, and Aishwarya knew him really well. They started exchanging, and he said, you're going to be here. You're going to come here, and you're going to stay here. And it was almost like a premonition to saying, maybe that's going to happen at some point. I don't know when, I don't know if, but what I do
know. You're still very young, so we have a lot of life.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll take that. When everything is settled, I think, because I felt home here. Everywhere I went, I feel really familiar, feel like I was here already in some point. And if she allows me to, because I'm just following wherever, and it's really, go figure how we can figure that out. But just in quietude and receptivity and openness and plasticity, as we keep in our aspiration to receive everything that we need to receive in this life to fulfill our purpose, which will give a sense of happiness and will prompt us to think positively, then to see everything from that vibrational state and to be open and receptive for everything in a higher consciousness as it coming. And as we're developing all that, and if this is my next step, I will do it. I will jump like I always did my whole life.
You most frequently refer to Mother guiding you, and we know that Sri Aurobindo wanted us to be in touch with Mother, but what is your contact with him?
Thank you so much for asking this question. I don't read his books. Every time I open his books, I'm coming in contact with his consciousness. His words are not words printed on a paper. They're alive. When I read them, I have experiences. And it's beautiful. Where I am right now, it's from experience to experience.
Oh.
I have a beautiful collection of his books. I'm trying to find the earliest first editions.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there are vibrations from the Mother, from him, while he was here in his body. So the living presence. So when I open that, he's in front of me. He is there. Today when we visit the place where all the relics are, and remind me again, the name is?
Sri Smriti.
Thank you so much. I saw the typewriter when he was...
The little one.
The little one for
Yeah.
the Mother, but there was another one. He was typing the whole aria and those. So I would sit there and I was envisioning, it's like, oh, that's how that came alive. And now this is here in front. This is my relationship with him. So he's a living presence. He is here right now. He's everywhere. And he is guiding us to be open to her. Because he said, Mother herself is a destination. Everything is in her. When you find her, you find all. So through him, he guided us to her, and she's there with her infinite passion, patience, guidance, grace, protection. I don't have fear. I don't. Fear of what? Fear of dying. That's why we're putting the mask like this and isolating ourselves, showing that we're afraid. That's the worst thing ever. When you're afraid, you're betraying everything that they said. Everything. How you can betray them after everything they sacrificed for us. Their life example, their experiences they so gratefully shared with us. How else we can be grateful to them? Are just repeating their name every time we walk, every time we breathe. The experiences in a dining room was unbelievable. Because with every single grain, this is them. And they infuse this in ourselves. And you can feel that vibration. You can feel that strength, that force. And actually, if we have time, I have amazing experiment to share with you. I only have 8 days to be here. And when I came here, which I came a little bit delayed because of the visa issues, but I definitely came. And when I came here, I said to myself, I only have 8 days. I cannot be jet lagged. I just can't. I don't have time. So I know right now it's nighttime there and I have to sleep. I have to be sleeping, but I cannot. And I have to be regular with everything. With my being awake, be alert, with all my processes in my body, I cannot go through any adjustments. And of course, I was traveling since I was 3 and I know all this, my body was already, but I talked to my body through her. I said, Mother, you work on this body. There's a contagious going on. We know every single cells listen to you. They will not listen to me, but they will listen to you. Mother, can you just talk to my cells and tell them, tell my hypothalamus to secrete melatonin at night, Indian night, and be perfectly awake during the day. Give me your strength so I'm not tired and take everything I have to take to continue my life, which is the honor to you, is in service to you. So she did that. So I did not have any jet lag. without taking anything, which I usually don't take anything. Even for pain, I will not take anything because I'm trying to explore how you can stretch your body. Is there any limit to our body? And I think the limit is the mind and all the thoughts and all the restrictions we put to it.
I have to ask you another one. Have you had any experiences or intimations about the supramental?
I'm so ignorant. And I do not know anything. But
As we say, join the club.
But every morning, Narad, I have a furry friend. His name is Rubio. He's my golden doodle. And he asks me to go for a forest walk every single morning. So I woke up around 5:30, and I take this dog to the park, which is close to my house. It's a forest, actually, with the mountains and all. And it's really dark at night, specifically in winter. But that forest is not. You actually can see at night. I don't know if you have that experience that they actually can see. You can see reflections of the stars. You can see the moon. You actually can walk without any light, and you can see all the paths. And then he guides me too. So I call it active meditation, or dynamic meditation. So when I walk, of course, it's not the same when you're still, but when you walk, you're trying to invoke everything and be open to that. And few times was a really nice presence that come in and feel all the cells. And the cells, do you know what the answers? Do you know what they're saying? What thou willest, O Lord, what thou willest. Make us worthy of thy works. Make us worthy of thy existence. And they just start talking, and then you can feel that beautiful vibration everywhere. And then you fill up, you feel yourself all filled up, and then you're ready for the day. I don't know if this is a supramental, but I think this is a preparation for us to go further and to be in contact with that part of us, because they're already aspiring. The cells are ready. What is not ready in us? This mind. It's like, this. It tells us that we're not good enough. We this and with that. And sometimes others tell us to, and we believe them. Like they can call you names, like persona ingrata, for example.
Yes.
And you believe in that.
Yeah.
Are you really believe in that? Or you believe what they say about you? What they want you to do? What they want you to be? And how you open to that? Exactly by that. By be calm, still, and open to this immense, infinite faith. Faith is the base. It's a gateway.
And doubt is the killer of faith.
Exactly.
Yes.
Champoklal was his birthday on the 2nd of February. He was a pillar of aspiration. And through that, you can aspire to have calm, peace, silence. And that's the doorway for spiritual experience. And that will lead you to a raising of the evolution of spiritual men. So this is all the preparatory steps. And what our ultimate goal? Supramental realization, transformation, and divinization of the matter through the direct action of the Supreme.
Could we go a little longer?
Yes.
I have questions to ask you about your experiences in the ashram and in Oroville. So it's a big subject.
I would like to start with Oroville, because I was granted a permission to be there as long as I want because of you. So thank you so much for allowing me to be in this sacred space. I enter there by the end of the summit, which was organized this year, dedicated to 150th anniversary of Sri Aurobindo's birth. And I came in the last day, and it was beautiful. The energy, the people, the environment. I met so many. Dina was there. She's such a special person. So that environment was already magical. I'm not afraid of that word, because that brings you closer to spiritual. We're all coming through the steps, but it's magical. You can see the flowers, you can see the gardens, you can feel that vibration. There's something really, really special about Auroville, and it resonates. I heard about difficulties, but who does not have difficulties? We have difficulties in our life, we have difficulties in ashram, we have difficulties in Auroville, but it's not this that you have to look for. You have to pass all of that and see that brightness, that vibration that they placed, because they're everywhere, their consciousness is everywhere. So when you offer me to be there, and
to work with your hands.
Yes. And the task was easy. Just take the pot, find out if the plant is strangled, liberate that, and make them leave, because there was a lot of problems with hibiscus. So as I touched that soil, Narad, every single particle of that soil, that was them. The plants filled with energy. When I was touching that, I was touching them, and they were strangled by our ignorance, by our quarrels, by our saying, I know more than you. And you can see it around, because people were saying, oh, you should do this. Did you do this? And I was just smiling because it was so beautiful to see how, in such a tiny, teeny table like this, the whole picture was there. You remember that concept of, let me remember that word, when one is enclosed in another and another, particles. I'm losing the concept of. So in a small thing, you can see the whole universe. Particle, no. I forgot the word. It will come. So in this little tiny, teeny table, suddenly the whole Auroville was there. There was 3 or 4 people standing, but everybody had their feelings. Everybody has to say something about it. And I was observing that as almost like a witness. It was beautiful. If you put yourself out of all this and still see the beauty in every single person. And do you know why they were quarreling? Because they want to be the best of what they have. And that's their way to express that. They just don't know how to express that better. But they were beautiful. So we released all these strangling cups, and suddenly the plants were, they sing, and they were so happy, and we planted them, and all the pots were there, and it was a whole day of intense work. I love that so much. And of course, then I had a privilege to see the lower chamber with the petals and the crystal small size. And then there was a day that I actually went to the chamber. I don't know if I'm allowed to share the experiences, because they always tell us to keep the experiences for you. But it was significant. It's beautiful. The silence was so deep. There was not a single noise. Everything was still. And I opened my eyes just a little bit, and that beautiful light coming from the sphere up. And I said, well, I guess that's how you can see supramental coming down. And that's our world. And it just all bathed with that. Does not matter if you believe in that or not. It's happening. I don't know how you imagine that or not. Doesn't have any relevance, but it is happening. And we're all here in such an amazing, amazing time. And since then, I always come there in the morning, and beautiful sunsets, sunrises, sorry, beautiful sunrises and gardens and vibrations and everything is just singing beautiful Om like you choir and the name. It's beyond the words. You have to be there to feel it. You have to be there. And I hope more people will awake to come and serve, because nothing can be better than to serve the divine. And the divine there is everywhere, everywhere. And I wish for you to have more help and for Avravillians to start seeing everything as a witness and enjoy the play and saying nobody is right, nobody is wrong. It's just them. Let them act through you. And it's so much easier. The life is so much easier when it's like this. It's just cannot even express. Ashram felt like home. Ashram felt like I knew everything, like every single step. And I was seeing Mother everywhere. She was everywhere. And I was so emotional. I could not stop crying. And Shardalu took me to the tennis court, and I could see her playing tennis. And then we went, and I said, where is she? Because I saw so many pictures of her. Like, where is she walk with Pranabda, Dada? Because I have this picture of them walking so beautifully. I said, where's that? She's like, over here. So I just went there, and she was there with me. Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful experiences everywhere I went. And it's there. And it's fine. There's people don't see it, it's fine. But they're still there. And they're always going to be there. And the samadhi, the vibration, and you just come there and you just give yourself. And they'll feel you out right away. And you just continue vibrating with that. And the most important, do not spill it out. And just keep it. Keep it. And ask the cells to take it in and stretch it further. Don't think about diseases, falsehood. Don't think about things that can deviate you from the path, because they want you to be on the path. So why are you thinking about things that can deviate you? Don't. Just put them aside. Get them in. Always in them, not you. We don't know nothing. But if you like this, open up. They come in, get inside and work through that. If you allow them and you stretch a little bit more, don't do that really fast, just a little bit more and a little bit more, but just to be open to that. And then wish for that to everybody. Like today we had such a beautiful visit, and I really wish for her to be in your gardens right away. And I hope she can be there. And you please just text me or message me or send me a picture, because that's the limit we put to ourselves. But there's no limit because of them. And they already talk, and she walked with this body. She had this body. That human flesh, she had it all. And because of that, for us, it's much easier. Because the only thing we have to do is just to be open, receptive, and then hold it and guard it. And don't make a religion of that. Don't go like advocate or like saying, oh, you have to read this book or you have to do this. I just had a really nice conversation with one of the ashramites, and he's been here his whole life, and in the playground and everything. And I asked him, what's your favorite book of Sri Aurobindo? And he said, The Mother. And that's perfect. And what would you like to read when you read Mothers? Like, I like all the conversations she had with the kids. It's beautiful. So again, it's not a propaganda. It's not to say you have to be in integral yoga, you have to take your path, you have to do that. It's absolutely necessary. No.
Well, I think you've already met people who didn't even know about the yoga, and they were realized souls. You've told me already about a couple of them.
That's right.
Yeah. Maybe last question on your physical body and the work on your physical body.
Really important. Our cells are ready. They're listening to us. I was listening in conversation with the mother. They're recorded here in ashram. You have this conversation. She's talking about the prayer for the cells and her experience with the cells. Listen to that. But not listen like you're always listening that. No. Open that inner ear and listen what she's saying. Your cells are like little kids. Do you know like little kids? Do you know what they do? They're actually cameras on legs. They are. They record everything. Everything. And they look at your expression of the face when you're upset and they say, why are you upset? Oh, because of that. Oh, you got upset. Okay, I'm going to learn that. I'm going to do the same. That's your subconscious mind. It listens to you, does everything that you say. They are ready. If you tell them, not you, them, of course, always. But even if you tell them disease does not exist actually, oh, you think you're going to have fever? Nah. You know really well how to be in balance. Bring the balance right away. I'm going to help you. How? I'm going to believe in you. I put my faith in you. You're going to be fine. What? A little bit of pain there? It's fine. Sometimes pain is fine. I'm going to give you an example what happened to me. I went skiing last winter. And my daughter, she's really adventurous as well. She took a path that we should not. And I ended up crashing. And my ski was bended. And thanks God, the ski was bended and not my knee. Although I did damage my knee. But in the moment of that, I invoked them immediately. The pain, it was so severe. I did not know if I was able to get back home, but I invoked their name and I put it there and I said, please, please, just be in that knee. And then I had few weeks of recovery. And during every single day, I was saying, I believe in you. I know there was a damage. I understand. I'm very sorry. I did not do it right. I have to be more careful. You have to be careful about the body. Don't put it through the experiments, please. Just do whatever you have to do. But when you have that, just put all their consciousness through you in saying, we're going to heal. Everything's going to be fine. And I have faith in you. And they know, cells know what faith is because it's an inner knowing. It's your soul's knowing. And the cells are really attuned to that. They love all that stuff because they actually, oh, you think you recognize me because we're like living like over here up. We don't see down. We don't look at our body. We don't know where things are. We don't understand all that. But if you look at them like this down and saying, okay, now it's time to heal. It took me 2 weeks. I did not go to the doctors. I did not do any x-rays. And I was limping. And I don't know exactly what trauma was there, but my ski was badly bended. And I said, okay, I know what is in there. There's a ligaments, there's a synovial, you have to, if you want to have a little bit more anatomy, and you have ligaments, you have all the muscles around. So let's just straighten all the ligaments. Maybe a few tears there in the ligament? How we can do it? Connective tissue. Okay, what's connective tissue? A lot of vitamin C that helps collagen. So so you can envision all of this, open up to all of these visions of the healing through them. And in 2 weeks, I was able to perfectly fine walk. This year, we went back skiing perfectly fine. So it is possible. You just have to give them that authority. But in the same time, you have to respect their balance. Because if you like ice cream, for example, what it's going to do, you have to know the effect of that on your body. Or anything that you have to have that sensitivity. And you said, okay, well, I eat ice cream. What's going to happen? It's going to go directly to your liver. It's going to shock it. And then you're going to have a really high level of sugar that you have to, because it's not absorbed. Like, for example, when you eat the sugar cane, absorbs beautifully, slowly, because you have fiber around. With the refined sugar, goes directly to the liver. And liver has no idea if this is alcohol or the sugar, by the way, because it's the same chemical formula. There's few alterations there. So, and then it repercussion to the pancreas, to the vessels, obstructs. There's a lot of repercussions. So If you take really good care of your body and attune it and ask yourself, I'd rather have 5 minutes of pleasure and then have a consequences, or I'm going to skip that and keep myself aligned to what my body really needs. Fruit is a beautiful snack, or any vegetables, or anything that you feel that your body needs, in moderation. Don't overrun your body. Don't give things that you know it's going to take more time to process. And when you do that, when you attune intuitively to your body and to your cells, they respond beautifully. And then you just irradiate health. And health, it's another identification of psyche, I believe. Because when you have that inner introspective, you should not be falling sick. And for me, as a physician, I always look at the doctors. This kind of people, they never get sick. Because when I was little, I was really, really sickly, little tiny thing. So I was always look at the doctors. Oh, the doctors, they heal people and they never get sick. So I have to kind of live upon that, little kid aspiration. So if you're a doctor, you cannot be sick.
Thank you.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
Namaste all.